Suspended Labour councillor Ricky Jones has been found not guilty of encouraging violent disorder. This is the tipping point. This is the event that will red pill a lot of people, even the most blissfully ignorant people who do their best to cling on to the naive everything is fine mantra will finally be shaken out of their fantasy. They will have to come to terms with a lot of very dark and very uncomfortable home truths. No, everything is not fine, actually. The system that you believe in is deeply corrupt. There is something rotten in the state of the UK. Let's go back and look at what led to suspended Labour councillor Ricky Jones making his public speech. An evil specimen named Alex murdered 3 children in Southport, and the country was in a state of shock. Emotions were running very high. Hundreds of thousands of people let their thoughts and feelings be known. They were deeply concerned about the direction that the country was heading in, and they were worried about the safety of themselves and their children. While the corrupt mainstream media were trying desperately to gaslight everybody into thinking that the murderer was a Welsh choir boy, a Christian, ordinary British people, members of the public, were not falling for it. They knew what was happening, and they recognized the growing threat and the changes that were taking place in their country that they did not ask for and did not want. Thousands upon thousands of people took to the streets to engage in protests. Many went to hotels that were housing illegal immigrants or so-called refugees, fighting-age men who had supposedly fled war-torn countries and entered the UK on small boats illegally, but for some reason had left all of the women and children behind. Lucy Connolly, in the heat of the moment, after the tragedy in Southport, posted on Twitter. These are the words that she posted. "Mass deportation now. Set fire to all the redacted hotels full of the redacted for all I care. While you're at it, take the treacherous government and politicians with them. I feel physically sick knowing what these families will now have to endure. If that makes me racist, so be it." Lucy deleted her tweet approximately 1 hour later. Did she invite violence? Clearly not. Writing "set fire to the hotels for all I care" is essentially the same thing as her saying that she wouldn't care if somebody were to set fire to the hotels. That is, of course, very different from explicitly instructing or encouraging somebody to set fire to a hotel, as all reasonably intelligent people would be fully aware of. However, it's not what is true anymore. We've entered an age in which people reject truth in order to form a narrative, and they will cherry pick pieces of information and present certain information in certain ways so as to paint a picture and manipulate others and encourage others to go along with that narrative. The establishment, if you will, wanted to set an example and deliberately misrepresented what Lucy had posted. They needed a conviction in order to deter other people from sharing similar views. They wanted to intimidate the public into silence. There was a smear campaign launched against the people who were protesting and against Lucy. Following the very large number of protests that took place throughout the entire country, there were a number of counter-protests held by useful idiots against the so-called far right, i.e. people who were heartbroken and angered by the murder of those 3 innocent children in Southport and wanted children to be safe from people like Alex. Ricky Jones, who was a Labour councillor at the time, attended an event and spoke publicly to dozens of people. Let's remind ourselves of what then Labour councillor Ricky Jones said.
They hurt. We've got children and women using those trains, destroying the summer holidays. They are disgusting, nasty bastards, and we need to cut their throats and get rid of them all. I just want to say thank you all. I'm going to leave it now. And free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Thank you. God bless you all.
I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, he recognized immediately that he'd crossed the line. They are disgusting Nazi fascists, and we need to cut all their throats. Ricky made the throat-cutting gesture during his speech. Perhaps the most disturbing thing in this video is the number of brain-dead virtue signallers standing around then Labour councillor Ricky Jones, some of whom with masks under their chins, cheering Ricky's declaration about the need to cut the throats of people he dislikes. You can see the cult mindset being played out. These are the people who are so sure of their moral superiority, yet they cheer for someone advocating the murder of people he dislikes and disagrees with. People who are ideologically impure. Of course, then Labour councillor Ricky Jones's speech went viral, and the public discourse focused on exactly how many years in prison Ricky Jones would be sentenced to, with many people claiming that anything less than the 2 years and 7 months that Lucy was sentenced to would prove the existence of a two-tier judicial system. Today, 15th of August 2025, suspended Labour councillor Ricky Jones, who openly stated, "They are disgusting Nazi fascists and we need to cut all their throats and get rid of them all," was found not guilty of encouraging violent disorder. There you have it. A two-tier judicial system. Undeniable. Of course, the big difference in the two cases is that Lucy Connolly was given very bad advice. Lucy Connolly had been advised to plead guilty. It's very possible that Lucy's legal counsel did not have her best interests in mind. By pleading guilty to the charge, a trial was avoided. The establishment needed a quick conviction to set an example. Suspended Labour councillor Ricky Jones pled not guilty and was able to take his court to trial and be tried by a jury of his peers. Jurors deliberated for just over half an hour and found him not guilty. Over a year since his explicit encouragement for violent disorder, the jurors made up their minds in just over half an hour. Jones, who wore a navy blue suit with a white shirt and pale pink tie in the dock, was seen mouthing "thank you" to the jurors. Yeah. And unfortunately, I for one would love to know who the jurors were and whether it was truly possible for them to remain impartial. Identity politics has been pushed and promoted for so many years now, and the public are actively being encouraged to judge people by the colour of their skin and to embrace group identity. And this is only going to result in tribalism and an inability to be impartial towards people of other so-called groups. When you concentrate on group identity, you disregard the importance of individuality. I can't help but wonder how the jurors voted in the last election, whether any of them have Palestine flags on display anywhere, or what sorts of newspapers they read, and sadly I can't help but wonder what religion they follow and where their true allegiances lie. Lucy Connolly, guilty of publishing material intending to stir up racial hatred while being white. Ricky Jones, not guilty of encouraging violent disorder while being white. There is two-tier policing in the United Kingdom. There is a two-tier judicial system in the United Kingdom, and things are going to get much worse now. How many people will take this verdict as confirmation that it is okay and lawful to openly declare the necessity to cut people's throats? How many of those people will then encourage others to cut other people's throats under the belief that that encouragement is legal? After all, if suspended Labour councillor Ricky Jones can do it and get away with it, why can't we? Some people who will not have yet lost their innocence may be confused by the situation. How can Lucy Connolly receive a prison sentence, but suspended Labour councillor Ricky Jones avoid a prison sentence? Surely he was guilty of encouraging violent disorder. Well, he did encourage violent disorder, clearly. Only a fool or a liar would state otherwise. But he was found not guilty. and this will of course have a backlash. Civil unrest is at this point an inevitability. Tensions are rising. The UK is a powder keg. The only question is when the explosion will occur. This explosion has been planned and is being strategically engineered. The corrupt government in the UK, the corrupt Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, who is of course a puppet for Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum, needs there to be societal unrest, needs there to be a societal collapse.
So we will see definitively a lot of anger already now, but probably increased by the end of the year, because this crisis will be with us until we really have found a remedy. So we have to prepare for a more angry world.
They need civil disorder, they need chaos in order to engineer the call from the public for more order, more control. Please, government, help us set things right. We want order again. And when that happens, they will, of course, have the antidote. And when that happens, they will, of course, have the antidote ready and waiting. Increased surveillance, i.e. no more privacy. More acts being passed in Parliament under the pretense of increasing safety. A rollout of facial recognition cameras. And of course, that all-important digital ID.
The benefits are clear. Digital ID will make our interactions with each other and with the state faster, cheaper, and more reliable. It will allow us to judge who has a right to be in our country and who doesn't, and so solves one of the major challenges of immigration. Facial recognition can now spot suspects in real time from live video, tracking organized criminals at borders, in public spaces, even helping find missing people. In London, live facial recognition led to 360 arrests by the Met Police between January and October 2024, just in a pilot project. It boosts response times and helps identify suspects quickly in busy places like train stations and events. Live video from body cams and CCTVs can be used to provide real-time advice to officers from a command center or deploy resources to where they're most needed.
Digital ID, which essentially equates to the end of all privacy and autonomy. Problem, reaction, solution. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book.
It will allow us to judge who has a right to be in our country and who doesn't, and so solves one of the major challenges of immigration.
The UK government is corrupt to the core. Any decent person by this point will have left the police force, and the UK police force is corrupt, politicised, biased. Take a look at this, what happened very recently.
After illegally entering the country, a migrant staying at the Britannia Hotel in Canary Wharf illegally entered someone's house. This friendly-looking Welsh choir boy resembling individual was caught by hotel protesters reportedly entering a woman's house, walking into a bathroom where her children were before being chased out of the property. He was then detained by the guys who chased him away while they waited for the police.
Nothing to him apart from explaining to the police car.
The police turned up and refused to arrest him, claiming that it was merely trespassing and wasn't an arrestable offence.
You guys are quite unhappy about
Yeah, Hunter Street.
but we have no allegation to arrest him for. Okay? I understand that that's not something you want to hear, but unfortunately, there's only so much we can do, and obviously, she's the main person that, and she doesn't want to press charges.
She does want to press charges. She just said to me. She just.
What's the alleged offence?
With the police ludicrously implying because the door was open, it wasn't a big deal, and that the men who chased him were the real problem. Because the migrant didn't have chance to steal anything, or worse, attack the woman and her kids, because he was chased away, they just let him go.
This man in this vehicle has just entered a lady's property without her consent, and these officers have said it's not an offence. They're letting him go. They're letting him go. Officer, how is that not an offence? How is it not an offence entering someone's house?
And then politely escorted him back to the hotel.
Just to summarise, after 3 children were murdered in the UK, a woman posted on Twitter. She deleted her tweet in which she had said, "Set the hotels on fire for all I care." She did not explicitly encourage anybody to set fire to any hotel. She was sentenced to time in prison. Labour councillor Ricky Jones explicitly stated the necessity to cut people's throats, and he avoided a prison sentence. The 2-tier judicial system in the UK is undeniable. It is clear for everybody to see now, and the consequences of this widespread realisation will be huge.
Too scared.